Hi, this is William Thayer, and I'm talking about the COVID crisis in the United States, and I'm talking about comprehensive testing as being one of the best solutions that we have. In this particular video, I'm talking about the COVID crisis that happened on the USS Roosevelt, one of our best aircraft carriers. Now, I'm making a series of these videos, so if you find this video interesting, you might want to go back and look at the other three. The first one is COVID testing versus treatment. Okay, and I give the video link there because sometimes you can't find it by title. What I'm saying is comprehensive testing is going to stop the spread. The spread of COVID is the problem. Okay, yes, we want treatment. We have no treatment to stop the spread. Only when we get a vaccine. That's over a year away. So we got to do something in the meantime, testing. Okay, the second one was, okay, if we're going to do comprehensive testing, we need a test machine. There's a bunch of test machines out there and a whole new test process that I just learned about today. So my second talk was using one of those test machines. Let's see, what does it take to do comprehensive testing? My third one is you got to have the machine, but you also got to have the chemicals that go in the machine. That's what I call the test sample. Okay, you also got to get the sample, the nose swab from the person. So that is the third video, and again, there is the link. Now, what I'm talking about today is the USS Roosevelt. There's a picture of it. It's a great aircraft carrier. All our aircraft carriers, the Navy is really super. This is definitely a pro-Navy family. I've got a picture here of my uncle, who was Annapolis class in 1945. That's Commander William Williams. He was on the tail end of World War II and then was an acoustic expert and worked even on the USS Nautilus. Now, outline. What I'm going to talk about today is what happened on the USS Teddy Roosevelt. Really put it out of commission. It was the COVID crisis. And comprehensive testing could have prevented the disaster. Now, they didn't have the test, so in that particular case, they couldn't do that. But we've had the problem on one aircraft carrier. We got to learn it for every other aircraft carrier. That is why, one reason I'm making this video. Okay, so what happened to the Roosevelt? We had sailors that went ashore for shore leave in Vietnam, and they picked up the COVID virus in Vietnam. Okay, when they came back on board, they spread it to other people, and the number of cases doubled and doubled and doubled until they got to 589 cases. Now, what I'm going to illustrate graphically, I'm going to say that 10 sailors, we don't know exactly how many, but I'm going to say that 10 sailors came back with COVID, but they didn't know it, okay, for a few days, and then they knew it. But before they turned themselves into sick bay, they infected unknowingly 2 more of their sailors, okay, 2 more guys on board. And so what happened is we started out with 10 sailors. They doubled the number of cases to 20, as you see down there in the next to the bottom line, to 40, to 80, to 160, to 320. By the time you get up to 320, cumulatively, you're up to 630. If you looked at the last line, we started out with 10, cumulative to 30, to 70, to 150, to 310, to 630. And the actual number of cases is 589. So the example that I'm going to give you is probably pretty realistic. Okay, so here we've got the Teddy Roosevelt. What I've got up here, I've got 3 lines at the top, and what they are is described over on the right side. So the first line shows 4, 4, 4, 4. Those are 4 days. These are 4-day increments, and I should have added another 4 days, but anyway, I'll make do with this. The second line is cumulative people in quarantine, okay, and the bottom line is quarantine. So we're going to start off with 10 people. It's going to go, you're going to have just 10 people that are cumulative, and each time that I get more people in quarantine, the cumulative is going to grow. So we start out over here on the left in the green box with 10 sailors in Vietnam that pick up the COVID virus. Now they don't know it. So that's what the red line does. They come back board on ship. The red line down below says asymptomatic. In other words, no symptoms. They have no idea they're sick. Okay, and then all of a sudden, maybe day 3, they're back on ship and they go, oh my God, I got a temperature. They go to sick bay and they're quarantined. They're turned into quarantine. So I show that with just the first 2 sailors, sailors 1 and 2, but all 10 of them are going to experience this. Okay, now I want to illustrate something else here, is that sailor number 3 I'm going to show is going to infect 2 other sailors on board. He doesn't know he's doing this, and the other sailors don't know that they're getting sick. That's number 11 and 12. So same thing, all the first 10 sailors turned themselves in the first 4 days, but 11 has just gotten sick, so he doesn't turn himself in until the second 4 days, okay? And all 20 of them that are sick will turn themselves in. You'll have 20 in quarantine the second day, and up above, that 20 will add to the 10 that were there previously. You have 30 cumulatively. But also, Sailor 12 does the same thing as Sailor 3. He infects 2 more people, shown as 13 and 14. And again, he doesn't know he's doing it. Those sailors don't know they're sick. Whoops. So, Sailor 13 is eventually going to get a temperature. He's going to turn himself in and get quarantined. Sailor 14 is going to do the same thing that Sailor 12 did. He is going to infect 2 more people, 15 and 16. Okay, and eventually you just follow this down and go through 6 cycles of this. Okay, you see the quarantine line goes 10, 20, 40, 60, 80, 160, and I should have had another box over there, 320. And then the cumulative line goes 10, 30, 70, 150, 310 to 630. Okay, it pretty much something like this happened, because in 6 cycles, I get 630 cases with doubling. And the actual number of cases is 589. So something like this happened. Okay, that's what happened to the Roosevelt, something like this. So what could have been done? What if, imagine if Roosevelt had comprehensive testing. Of course they didn't, okay, because this COVID virus was very new and we didn't have any tests at that time, so there was nothing on board the aircraft carrier. Well, if they had had the test, as soon as the first 10 sailors showed symptoms, they would have done comprehensive testing on the entire crew in a day. Okay? Not only would they have got the 10 sailors that were in quarantine, out of the remaining sailors and the 4,800 sailors on board, they would have discovered which 20 were sick but didn't show any symptoms, the asymptomatic ones. So they would have stopped it at 30. So I could sort of show this graphically as this. The guys in Vietnam over there in the green box, those 10 people come in here and they unknowingly infect 20 more sailors. But because at the end of that 4-day period, the ship realizes and has the test, they do comprehensive testing of the whole crew in a day. And they stop the damage at 30 cases. So at the upper right, they stop the damage at 30 cases. That's not what happened, okay? What happened was this. This is what happened. It doubled, it doubled, it doubled, and what you get at the upper right is 589 actual cases in a carrier that is out of action. Now, what the Roosevelt shows is why we need comprehensive testing on every aircraft carrier for sure. That should be so obvious. Nobody could ask a question about that. But what we need is that same comprehensive testing in every state, in every city in the United States. It's pretty obvious what we need. We have people in our society that don't know they're sick, going around making other people sick, with the other people not realizing they're sick, okay? Just like the Roosevelt. Today, we have 620,000 cases of COVID in the United States. If we could comprehensively test everybody in a day, we could probably stop it pretty close to 620,000, maybe 700,000. As is, you can see this number is going to go on to 1 million, okay? Because we don't have comprehensive testing, which is a good argument for getting comprehensive testing as soon as possible. So what can we do? We can do it with the Abbott. This was in my first 3 lectures. You can do about 120 tests a day. So if the Roosevelt had 40 of these on board, and they weren't approved at the time that the Roosevelt had the problem, they could do the test in a day. These machines cost $4,500. Times 40 is 180,000. Test samples cost, that's the chemicals, cost $40 times 4,800 tests, 192,000. Okay, but for a $10 billion aircraft carrier, it's a small price. This is a test that I just learned about today, so I hope I have the information right. What it is a blood prick, okay, and it's a kit that you can do yourself, okay. It costs $25 and you can do it in 10 minutes. And what it's going to tell you is where you got antibodies. If you got antibodies, then either you've got COVID or you've had COVID, okay? I mean, if you have temperature and a cough, then you probably really know you had COVID. But it'll tell you that. The other thing it'll tell you is if you don't have antibodies, then it says you don't have COVID. So this would have really helped the Roosevelt. So imagine if the Roosevelt had had this, and since it just came out yesterday, there's no way they could have had it. $25 times 4,800 crew members, 120,000 to save a $10 billion aircraft carrier. So summary, again, my theme is comprehensive testing is the way to stop the spread of COVID. Okay, comprehensive testing is being done on the Roosevelt. They've tested 92% of the 4,800 crew members. Maybe at the time that I'm doing this talk, they've got 100% done now. I hope so. Okay, and they've discovered any asymptomatic cases. It's too bad that they didn't have the capability to do this when the first cases were discovered, but we have the ability now. I've just given 2 methods that you can have the ability to do this. So this better not happen on any other aircraft carrier in the Navy. Okay, what's true for the Roosevelt though, and that's 4,800, we got 330 million people in the United States, but it's true for every city like New York or New Orleans or Chicago. We've got to have comprehensive testing, and we've got to have it in every state so that we protect our $2 trillion a month economy. Currently, the way we're stopping this is not through comprehensive testing. We're locking down 100% of our people. If you had comprehensive testing, you'd be locking down 0.2% of the people. Okay, next video, I'm going to be talking about comprehensive testing in the United States. Thank you very much for your attention, and stay healthy.